step it down a little. So we have top management, right? We have people at the top management. So it's easier for them to dream. It's easier to dream at that level.
Sure.
Because you are the only party to execute, like the first party to execute. But say go down a little to mid-level.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, mid-level, you're aiming for the top. You have all these ideas. You spend all your time thinking. You spend all your time dreaming. You have these things, you're ready, you're waiting for the opportunity. But say they don't have the opportunity to have a good culture like at SKLD. What is the plan there? Do you leave? Do you think it's you leave, find somewhere, or how do you stay knowing that, okay, at that point you probably spent 10 to 15 years in the company already, maybe say 10 years in that place. You're not quite at the top yet, but I mean, you have a certain level of leadership and all of that, but ultimately you do not have the final authority. What happens there? How do you grow as a person, or how do you grow the company?
Yeah. So we need to situate that question in what the individual's goal is in terms of what's your professional goal, right? So as a middle to senior level manager who is not at executive level management, but you have teams, you have stuff and all of that to work with. You've spent 10 years in an organization, you have led, so it means that you have some level of influence over certain people. But the question perhaps is, do you have leverage to be able to influence the direction of the company from that particular position where you are not, the final authority on matters? So I would say that, like I said, it depends on the goals. So I'm a big fan of people defining what their careers are about, what they want to achieve ultimately. I encourage strongly everyone to have the opportunity and the adventure of owning something when it comes to business. But I also understand that not everybody will be entrepreneurs.
Sure.
Not everybody will go into that, ownership journey where you literally own an organization. I believe everybody can, but not everybody will. And when I say ownership, I don't mean that you are the, CEO or the entrepreneur. You might own a piece of an organization. It will be, of course, in equities, shares, and all of that, or more at the top where you are a significant equity holder in a startup, small startup, whatever it is. I believe that that's how you translate everything you learned in your career. You learned a lot in your career. You've managed things. You have managed budgets and all of that, but you never get to a place where you have that influence you're talking about in the direction of an organization. I think that is a failure in transition, in my view. Not failure as an individual, but you didn't translate all that on, because if you look at what, the good book, the Bible says, it says that if a man is diligent in another man's, his own will be given to him. That means the person who doesn't take his own, it's not that God didn't want to give you your own. It's just that maybe you didn't feel like you will ever be an owner. I was talking to someone yesterday who had told me categorically that he doesn't believe that, his fate or his destiny is to found or start companies. That he's done so well supporting organizations, and he's done so terribly trying to start something that he believes that his fate is to only be. And I smiled and I said, you underestimate who you are, and you're making a judgment too early. How old are you? And I just had a couple of conversations with him and told him why it's very wrong to make that conclusion. There are people who started things at 50. Do you imagine that between age, let's say 22 and 50, they have not tried many things, and then the one they started at 50 is the one that succeeded? The company you're sitting in today, SKLD, the founder, Mrs. Adekpetun, started it at 40. At 40, you're probably almost midway through your life. She had spent 13 years in the oil and gas industry. She wasn't chased out. She transitioned to start this at 40. So my view is that, I've talked about a bit about ownership. I believe that that individual, for instance, you've described, if the person is looking to have ownership at some point in the future, then the game is not to be worried about what is happening or what's not happening.
Okay.
The goal would be leverage the influence you have. Leverage the opportunity you have at the expense of someone else's budget to learn management, learn interpersonal skills, learn stakeholder engagement. You try to sell your idea to executive management, they push back. Learn how to convince them. If it doesn't work, take it as a learning. Because you will start your business today or tomorrow and you're talking to a regulator and they'll say no to some of your proposals. You may be talking to a partner and the partner will say no, and you don't have the full. So learn everything you can. If you're learning, then you're never losing. If you're learning, you are never losing. So the point is that you may not have the full expression of what it is that you can do in that moment because you have certain, authority restrictions, because here you're dealing with a different set of people who are maybe the owners or executive management of the company, and they say, okay, this is how far your ideas can be pushed. Take your ideas and keep working on it. Then, it's also important for people to understand that it is not when you leave an organization that you start trying out your own ideas. I can tell you too many stories. If you go to some of the popular banks you're aware of, for instance, the GT banks of this world, Mr. Tayo Osiyemi and Fola Adiola were in another bank when they started GT Bank. They were in that bank when they started the idea of GT Bank and started testing the waters. Agimokwede Wigwe, Haba Wigwe of blessed memory, they were in GT Bank when they started the idea of Access Bank.
I see.
GB of Flutterwave was in Access Bank when they started the idea of Flutterwave and they started putting things together. So it's not when you step out. So you literally see a chain of big names in their own rights who started layering on. So you start trying out your own idea. So that individual who doesn't have a full authority matrix to be able to and say, full authorization rather, to be able to say, okay, this is what I want to do, can start, if you've just find out, okay, this is how far management wants you to go, do your job well.
Okay.
Remember, diligence in another man will give you yours. So do your job well. Explore all the authority that you are given. Push as many ideas. Initiate ideas and present it to management. Let management see it and see how they can use it. If they don't use it, if you get credit for it, don't get credit for it. Like I said, once you're learning, you're not losing. So you keep doing that and keep thinking ownership, which is why I said, if the person is thinking ownership, all is good. If the person is not thinking ownership, it's where frustration will set in, because then you're not able to express the initiative that is being, that you're getting inspiration for, that you're being inspired for different things, but you can't express, and you would never be able to express it because you don't have authorization to do that. So if your goal is not to sit in a system all your life, you might have an opportunity. And again, if your goal is to sit within a firm and be an entrepreneur all your life, then my own suggestion to that person is, if you feel like there's a cap to what you're able to express in an organization and you feel strongly that it appears that there's no more room for expression and you spend 10 years, I would advise make a shift. Perhaps go join a smaller company that has fewer red tapes, and maybe you will find an opportunity to own your projects and own your ideas and bring it from idea to execution. Okay.
So, but on that note, right, joining a smaller organization means, yes, there are more opportunities to try and retry.
Absolutely.
Feel you can always move. But for a company of this size, right, with multiple locations, how do you lead your teams in multiple areas, multiple
jurisdiction,
exactly, without making each side feel, so that no member of the team feels stifled to the point that they feel, oh, we are not moving, we can't reiterate, we can't try things, and then, so from the leadership side now, so we've gone from the mid-level, so on the other end.
So how do we create that
culture where people can talk, feel free to express and try?
So I think I would answer that question by saying that, first of all, the attitude that I have always promoted in this organization as a key member of senior management and an executive director here is that spirit of entrepreneurship, even within the organization. And I'll tell you how that looks. What we try to do generally is to generally show people what the problem is. We have certain processes and guidelines that provides the boundaries as to what we're trying to achieve. And those are really driven by some of our values, core values, which is, customer obsession, how do we take care of the customer, and employee focus, and a couple of other things that we can talk about our values later. But the point I'm trying to make is that I want to work with people who problem solve and who are not necessarily waiting for, God said we should do it like this, so we'll do it like that. And I say jump, you say how high. I'm not a yes man type of person. I don't honor or reward people who are strictly just yes men. I want you to challenge some of my own ideas. I want you to think about the problem and innovate around the solution. Tell me what you have done. So I'm not going to come, you won't typically find me telling you, do it exactly like this, like this, like this. I rarely do that except when I see that I'm talking to someone who is rather slow or maybe more of an instruction taker. So I'm like, okay, do it exactly this way and let's not bungle things. But if you've never given me an indication to not trust your initiative, I tell you, solve this problem. If you have any issues, come back to me. Let's co-solve. 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 The reason why co-solving is very exciting is because I want to hear your ideas. I want you to hear my ideas. So that when we're done with sharing ideas, maybe I do some 5-10 minutes of execution. I back out and you can own it. And you can own that whole process. So that entrepreneurial mindset and culture is what sort of hallmarks all that we do. And so in faraway Maiduguri, where we have an office, by the way, I have a team there, and I'm telling them, okay, this is the market. Go ahead and look at what the market needs and tell us how we can take this market. These are the goals, this is the target. So my job is, I set the overarching goal. This is what we're trying to do here. You come back to me with what we can do. And I'm checking with you all the time. Oh, what are some of the challenges? How did you, overcome them? Or what are you struggling with? What resources do you need? So that keeps people invested, not just from I'm a taker, I just take instructions, take my salary and go, but I'm a builder. I built this, I built this business, I built this unit, I built this market, I developed this market, I built this product. So that's kind of what helps, in terms of an attitudinal and a cultural inclination. And then beyond that also, very strongly, we have what we call an open door policy. And our open door policy is not cliche, and I tell you straight up, it's not cliche because I tell people, look, feel free to reach out to me if you feel like you're not being heard by folks who are closer to you in terms of leadership and management. For instance, I'm in a WhatsApp group with all employees. So of our 250, 260 employees, as long as they're in that WhatsApp group, they can find my number and reach out to me directly. And I would not say, why did you reach out to me directly? Why didn't you talk to I want to hear you. Oh, what are the challenges? Or why are you not able to get help with HR or something, or your line manager? Then if I see that, I'll call the person who is involved immediately. We'll have a conversation. Also, this person reached out to me and I'll let people know, line managers know that I have given authorization for people to reach out to me. So if they reach out to me and I hear that you took it out on them, we're going to have an issue. So that you know that they can reach out to me. So it also puts you in check. That okay, if I treat my people in a way that they have to reach out to the executive director to report issues, it's also not going to be looked at very. So those are ways, at least just two ways. Give people, that space to build, to co-build with you and co-solve, and of course, be very big on communication. An open door policy is a must in any organization. let people be able to reach the founders of the organization and give you, feedback on how they feel. And when I travel around, of course, I interact with people. I try to, hey, how you doing? How's work been since you joined? Blah, blah, blah. I don't know a lot of names because, of course, we're a decent-sized company. I mean, it's not a very big company, but we're over 270 easily. So I interact with this person. Hey, how you doing? What's your name? Tell me what journey has been. How long have you been on this role? Blah, blah, blah. Just a little chit-chat to give people the sense that, okay, you're approachable. So those are the things that I have done to help people to feel like they're part of, their own growth, and they're part of a team. Yeah.
That's impressive. That's impressive.
Thank
So
you.
it reminded me of I think it was Elon Musk that had an 18-hour meeting with all his employees, like all
18 hours.
18 hours.
I hope
So
they
everybody sat down. You have something to say. You have 5 minutes to speak, and that's how it was for 18 hours. They went on in that meeting.
Impressive.
Would you do something quite so extreme?
Well, we have what we call town hall meetings
Okay.
every other month. And in that town hall meeting, because we're in different locations, we're all online, everybody. And we have segments where it's open mic. If you like, carry the mic and say, MD, I'm not happy with you. We'll take it. Like, we'll tell people anything on your mind whatsoever. Please feel free to share. And a number of people have said things or typed things into the chat box and said, oh, we're not happy this commission was not paid last week. Oh, okay, we're so sorry about it. And it's not we know why we did not pay it, we deliberate. Organizations today, no, we would tell you, okay, look, this is definitely uncomfortable, blah, blah, blah. We own some of those mistakes. We don't create a facade that seems like, oh, wait, you're not human. You're human. You could bungle a timeline and all that. And you acknowledge it and try to make amends. I think that's what's important.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. So I think we can just, start to wrap things up. I want to know, so you talked about having a personal vision, a personal goal. What are your personal career goals? Right. As someone who is head in so many places, you have stakes in multiple organizations. What would you say, what does that look like to you? What does, say, 10 years from now look like to you? Are you willing to put your hands into more companies, more organizations? Are you looking to, what does that look like for someone who is not afraid to dream?
Yeah. So I'm an unrepentant dreamer, an unrepentant adventurer. I like to venture. I think I would keep venturing till the very last day, because I find ventures as vehicles just for expression. So I don't think I would ever get to a point where I feel like, oh, I have my hands in enough pies now, let me back off. I don't think so. They say the jack of all trade is a master of none. But people stop there not realizing that the end of the quote is that he's better than a master of one. So I found that a bit strange too, because I feel like, you're doing a lot of things. But that's where I find my energy and drive. It's in doing many things that I find, the energy to live and to keep going. And that's my energizer. The fact that I can be in this interview right now, and the very next meeting I'm having is so unrelated to this conversation. It's something else completely, and then the next one and the next one. And 8 short hours, I've entered into like 5 different rooms talking about 5 different, very different things. But in each of the rooms, I bring my mind there and I'm able to. So what is next for me? I would say, so we're here at SKLD, and I'm looking at what SKLD has in front of it. One of it, for instance, is that we're currently fundraising.
Okay.
In 2020, we raised some funds. We raised about close to $3 million for the company. We got equity investors to come in, and we have spent almost 5 years now on that run. And for me, I'm thinking about the next cycle, so to speak. So as the current investors perhaps exit, and then we're looking at new investors, I'm thinking, what's the next growth story I want to tell? What is the growth projection? So I'm looking at the next 5 years. And if I look at the next 5 years, some of the things that I want to quickly do, just to mention a few, would be expand our retail footprint. Right now we're in 3 cities and we have about 7 stores. We're looking at 20 stores and about roughly 10 cities thereabout. 20 stores, about 10 cities. We're looking to bring, so right now we have Port Harcourt, that's Port Harcourt and River State, Abuja, and then Lagos. So we're looking at cities like Kano, Uyo, we're looking at Ibadan, we're looking at Kaduna, we're looking at Jos, we're looking at Warri, So those are cities we're looking at. So retail footprint increase. For the B2B education business, we're looking to expand that from roughly 600 odd schools that we service every year right now to about 1,200 schools. So double our client base, active client base in a year over the next 5 years. For the humanitarian business, we're looking at regional expansion beyond Nigeria. Up until now, our business has largely been in Nigeria. Last year, we achieved 3.5 billion naira from that unit alone. So you're talking well over 2-point-something million dollars. About if you use 1.6, you're talking almost 2.25 million dollars in that business unit alone. But all of that was in Nigeria, and we're thinking, why don't we explore other African countries and the Middle East, where there's quite a lot of, issues around crisis and intervention. There is intervention based on economic issues, poverty, hunger, and then of course a little conflict here and there. Not that we are excited about conflict, but conflicts are there, whether you like it or not, and it's actors like us that make the individuals who are affected by conflict to have some respite and relief. So we believe that we're critical actors in the entire conversation around humanitarian relief, deployment, and all of that. So we're looking at expanding that business as well regionally. We're also looking at some other key products in that particular space. For instance, we're looking at addressing the severe acute malnutrition problem across West Africa. And that will see us set up a factory that is about $4 million. And the hope is to be able to solve for that by distributing what you call ready-to-use therapeutic food, across different countries. Then for the distribution business, right now, beyond Casio, we're partners with HP, Lenovo, Canon, Epson. So we have about 6 thereabout major OEM manufacturers. So we're looking to deepen what we're doing with them, explore the partnerships and do bigger supplies. And then finally, I didn't mention this business unit, but it's the 5th one that came along in 2022, which is the corporate sales. The corporate sales business focuses on corporate organizations, mid to large-sized corporate. And what we do basically is we supply them with office items, office and IT equipment. We supply them with stationery and branded materials. They will also do quite a bit of workwear. Now, the way our business is structured, just to give a good picture to the audience, is we use the 5-4-3 framework to define our business. So we have 5 business units: retail, B2B education, humanitarian aid, distribution, and corporate sales. 5 business units, right? We service 4 sectors. We have the education sector, we have the humanitarian sector, we have the consumer sector, and then we have the corporate sector. And then we offer 3 major product categories, which is the education, we have the education supplies, we have the office supplies, and we also have the lifestyle items. So those are so 5 business units serving 4 sectors and offering 3 broad product categories. So when you look at our different businesses, it might seem all confusing and all over the place, but it's the same set of products to a specified number of sectors and leveraging 5 different channels. So it helps us to define and keep under control what we're trying to do and how it's evolving. So those are the different things we're trying to do. Corporate sector is looking at expanding some of the things we're doing in the workwear space. Currently, we're trying to finalize a registration with NCDMB to participate in the local content drive from Nigeria so that we can service the oil and gas industry with coveralls, workwear, PPEs, and the likes. So there are a number of things that are there. So the adventures are endless, even within SKLD. But then outside SKLD, what else am I doing? Of course, the education business, we're trusting, to expand that significantly, the footprint, get into B2G, partner with the government to do capacity development for a lot of clusters, partner with large corporates, partner with NGOs, and of course continue to do the retail push where we're doing cohort-based and individual asymmetric learning, then there are a lot of other things I'd rather not talk about.
So many things. It's just really impressive how much. It's amazing. It's really amazing.
Thank you very much.
And then just as the last question, I feel we have to just ask this: how are you leveraging technology? So this question comes up every time, every interview, but we have to ask.
Yeah, well, for me, I think I'll answer it in a less theoretical way.
Okay.
I won't answer it just to check the box. For me, it's interesting you ask because that is something that is at the center of what I'm thinking. Especially because if you manage multiple businesses or do multiple things like I do, if you don't leverage technology or automation, if you don't leverage tools, you will drop so many balls and you will struggle. So for me, when the AI boom came in 2023, well, of course, I've always been an early adopter for technology. If I see anything, I want to know about it. But my adoption typically starts with just knowing what's going on, keep following the trend. So, but of course, I've been using a number of AI chat bots and all that, or AI chat platforms and all that, large language models. Just leverage it for things that are very, very mundane, right? I'm talking about me personally now before I then look at the business. So, but it's gone beyond that now. I'm looking very deeply into what are the other capabilities, right, of automation. What are the other capabilities of artificial intelligence? I often tell people, artificial intelligence in the hand of a dumb person is just a tool to promote laziness and lack of mental engagement. But in the hand of an intelligent person, artificial intelligence is a multiplier of your intelligence, because then you come the kind of questions, the kind of research, the kind of angles, what you're asking it to do, and what you're trying to mind-blowing. So I am not behind the curve when it comes to that. I'm constantly, looking at new tools. I'm so excited about that space right now. I'm just waiting to unleash some of the things that I have discovered recently. Of course, I have a paid, LLM model. I jumped on DeepSeek as soon as it came out, and then of course I have ChatGPT paid version. And I do a number of other things, but in terms of just expressing it, a lot of those things I'm still sort of keeping them on the close wrap and exploring, right? But from a business point of view, we're adopting, we're embracing it. For starters, in all of our businesses, we try to embrace at least an enterprise resource solution, an ERP. So whether it's for an SKLD where we have manufacturing, we have trading, we have an enterprise resource planning software that takes care of different aspects of business, whether it's procurement, point of sale, human resource, logistics, and then we also adopt a number of add-on apps, add-on software. So find APIs that can integrate. So recently we built a what you call loyalty software for what you call it now, SKLD, our retail business called Skit. So we built loyalty software, integrated it with now ERP. We developed a small module for our logistics team so that we can see real time what the tracking of goods for customers looks like internally, and then of course it helps us to be able to serve customers better. So all of that, and from the EdTech platform, of course, reiterated our initial learning platform, our LMS, and then we'll continue to look at, of course, the mobile app. Solution is literally done in terms of testing phase and all of that. We've literally launched on App Store and all of that. So we have a number of these different integrations. We're constantly looking at, okay, how do we integrate technology to help do work? And one of the ways I keep ahead of the curve, by the way, is, I'm not a very old guy, but I'm not a spring chicken anymore. I'm in my 40s. So, but one of the things that I never get bored of is talking to young people. I'm always looking for young people. I sit down with young people. What's going on? Tell me what's happening. Blah blah blah. And then in those conversations, we're sharing and they're telling me stuff, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I need to jump on this. Oh, let's do this. Let's try this. So that helps me to stay, like the other day I was talking to someone who is into marketing automations. Oh. I ran into him in church and he told me he runs a company that helps automate. And I said, you do? Come and do a presentation. He did a presentation. I linked him up with my team. We started looking at it. I said, okay, guys, test it. Use 100,000 naira to test this thing. Let's see what happens. I'm that guy. I'm constantly in that adventure phase. Like I want to know what's going on, right? And then I'm constantly trying to introduce this tech guy to that person to see if what he's selling can help us in that area. So like this week, for instance, I probably have 2 different meetings with tech guys. They're supposed to meet with some members of my team, and I'm the one bringing, quote unquote, the tech guys, the solution providers, to say, okay, talk to my team and let's see what your solution can help us do. So I am a big fan of the capabilities and the enhancement and the advantage that technology can give to any business. And I strongly believe that you're in business, embrace technology not as a last option, as a first option. First option, like the first thing is, can technology solve this? If technology can solve it, I beg you, do not ignore, don't label technology as, the devil's workshop or whatever that thing is. Embrace technology. Technology is, afforded to us by the wisdom of God in the minds of different people to make life, more bearable, more fun, more efficient generally. More efficient. So yeah, thanks.
Thank you, sir. I will be surprised if, say, 2 months from now, you're coming up with an AI solution for us.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't be surprised at all with the level of research and there's just bound to be some serendipity somewhere.
Trust me, we have an AI consultant coming in very soon for a segment of our business. There was a segment of our business I said, guys, I want this automated and I think AI can do it. I want to automate request for proposal response. I don't want any human being to be involved anymore. And they were looking at me and I said, yes, I want an AI bot to be able to pick up all the RFPs from a particular platform, identify which ones are aligned with our business, respond to it by providing an email with all the responses already set. Then we will just put in the financials and we'll submit. I hope that doesn't get me firing somebody. But I think there are ways to embrace technology without necessarily firing people. There are ways to, blend the two.
That sounds like a new business venture.
Absolutely.
Because you sell that software
Imagine what happens to you. If you're in that kind of line of business, if you could respond to only 5 proposals in a week, you can scale that to 100 proposals in a week. And what does that do? Increases your chances of getting yeses. And then, just think about it. It's just my
another exponential.
Absolutely,
like that.
absolutely. I'm looking forward to that exponent.
Oh my God! Thank you so much, sir, for sitting down with us. Sorry, I'm still reeling from some of the things you've said, so it's taking a moment.
But
thank you so much for your time. A man of faith, a man of vision, a man that dreams.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. And there you have it, Mr. Tayo Osiyemi. Wow, what a session. Just think of the insights. And I'm sure you have something that you're going to practice going forward. So thank you for joining us. And you know what? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you next time.